Good evening. Welcome to the 5-8, where we discuss each of the week's 5 most fucked up topics for 8 minutes. 5 topics, 8 minutes. 2 hosts, no guests this week. We're doing it neat. Some singing, a lot of curse words, and as many cocktails as we deem necessary. LB, good to see you back.
So good to be back. Making my way through my cocktail. My first drink in many, many weeks. Because I had an injury. I had an injury to my eye, and it blew up, and I had to go to the ER, and they gave me stuff.
And for that, you couldn't come on the show and show everybody your eye? I mean,
I couldn't even, no. It wasn't even a vanity thing. It literally was, I couldn't look at screens. I couldn't do anything. So all better, kind of. So if you see a little redness in there, it's still there a little bit, but getting better. Having my cocktail. Good. Oh, finally done with the antibiotics. Yeah.
That's good.
What are you drinking?
I am drinking tequila on the rocks. That's what I'm drinking.
Same as me.
Yeah.
It's a summertime moment. Yeah. It is summer solstice, I think, right? You said that earlier today. First day of summer?
Yeah, today is the first day of summer. I think. I may be wrong. That's what it said in my date book, because I still have one of those, the planner.
Like my mom.
Yeah. And I ordered a new one, and they sent me one from like 2024, 2025, which I guess I clicked on by mistake. It's like, why are you still selling this? It goes to the end of June. Like it's June 20th. Like, why are you sending me this? Take it off the Amazon. Nobody wants last year's calendar.
Jeez. You might be a strange guy that's like keeping records in Benjamin Button in it. And they need for the Benjamin Button people to go backwards in time.
I guess so. You heard about this data breach, yeah?
No, what?
Oh, there's this huge data breach where there's like literally like every piece of password that anybody has ever had for anything has been taken by the only piece of data they haven't found apparently in this big theft of data breaches is Melania's Einstein visa. That's the only thing that they haven't found.
Oh, well,
crazy.
1, 2, 3, 4 should unlock it.
Yeah,
knowing her. I got to do that. I'm trying to clean my camera, and I don't know.
Yeah. So
sorry,
change your passwords, everybody.
A bit of a thing. Let me try again. Is that better?
I think it looks fine, but I can't see anything.
Okay, maybe it's just the light. Something
it might be the lights.
On.
Yeah.
All right. I don't know. My eye doesn't quite work 100%.
I think
who knows? Who knows?
We've gotten there.
I saw that Nadine Smith. Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, you go.
No, Nadine Smith is in the chat tonight. Shout out to Nadine, our one of our fellow co-hosts of the 5-8.5 on Wednesday nights. If you guys aren't watching, I'm telling you, you're missing great stuff. It was such a good show this week. So make sure you're subscribed to our channel, because then it will alert you and it'll come up. It's on the same channel. You don't have to go anywhere different. Just make sure you subscribe. And if you feel like joining our community and throwing a little love our way, we always appreciate that. Yeah. So hi, Nadine, and everybody else.
Yeah. It was a big news week this week. I think Jake Tapper announced that Albert Fall, the Secretary of the Interior, had a big scandal involving pay for play that they're calling Teapot Dome, and Warren Harding might have been involved. Jake Tapper's on it though, so don't worry. We'll find out.
On it.
We'll find out all about it. It's going to be really good to know the truth. We need to find that out.
We'll find that out without a single follow-up question, I'm sure. Somehow.
Yeah. Oh, and we're doing after hours tonight.
We're doing after hours tonight. Yeah.
We're talking about some movies. That's what we're going to do.
We're going to talk about an old movie that Greg and I got really, really into.
Yeah.
So we'll have a good
and
chat.
A new one. Yeah.
That'll be it'll still be on the channel. It'll be a different sort of sign in. We sign off from here. You'll sign on to that. Again, if you subscribe, it's there for you. And for that, but for after hours, you got to join. So you got to join our community, which is just a very low rent experience for you, I promise. We do that special for folks that are our subscribing members.
Yes,
our paying members.
That's what we do.
That's what we do.
I guess, should we start? There's a lot to talk about.
Oh my God. Yeah, we're neat tonight, we should say. It's just the two of us. We did have a guest. We weren't sure what she's flying. She's in flight. So We knew it would either be this week or next week, and one of those weeks would be neat. And today is the neat show, which means it's just Greg and I, which is better, I think, because we've got to catch up a little bit.
Yeah, you've been here. We have to hear your thoughts on things that are developing.
So I appreciate it. So let me put the timer on.
Okay.
Uh-oh. I've changed my timer because I run now.
Timer.
Okay.
That's fine.
I have to time my runs. All right.
So, yeah, there's this potential of war with Iran for some reason. And I guess it's a Republican thing to go to war with a country that didn't attack us. That's just the thing that they do now, apparently. So, yeah. And he's just bumbles into it because and I think everyone's starting to realize that turning, like, we all joked about like giving the nuclear codes to Donald Trump is a bad idea. But now we're really beginning to see that giving the nuclear codes to Donald Trump was a bad idea. But one of the things he said is that, well, I'm going to decide in 2 weeks whether or not we're going to go to war with, or whatever we're going to do. So you immediately went nuts about the 2 weeks thing. So what?
Yeah, Johnny, 2 weeks. Well, I started with Donnie 2 Scoops with this guy, and because remember he had to have 2 scoops of ice cream, and so I immediately gave him his mob nickname, Donnie 2 Scoops. And then now in this term, he had the whole $2 thing where he's like, they don't need more than $2, right? For about the tariffs and for little girls. Everything's always about little girls and how we're the ones that have to be controlled, whatever. And so Lawrence O'Donnell's like, oh, Donnie $2. I'm like, oh, Lawrence, do a shout out to me at least, but whatever, that's fine. But then I realized he's doing this 2 weeks thing, and I'm like, oh yeah, he's Donnie 2 weeks, So, and what it is it's just this. In my opinion, but I had some good sourcing on some of the advice and coaching and guidance and tasking he had been given by some Kremlin handlers back in the day. Years ago, I got some sourcing on that, it kind of fits into this whole 2 weeks fits into like, this guy is really, really, really well media trained, intentionally media trained. So the whole thing about him keeping his hair and the same look, right? That's a tactic. That's a heuristic thing of like, so that no matter when the photographs are taken, you'll always sort of look the same and look younger than you are. You got to kind of nail a brand, and to get people to know who you are and to create yourself as a sort of brand identity. Boom. Keep the same look. It's why Cindy Crawford doesn't change her hair. I'm telling state secrets here, but heard that, right? As well as a part. So there's coaching advice that people get about how.
Are you comparing Cindy Crawford to Donald Trump?
No, I'm not. She's gorgeous and brilliant and all of that stuff. But no, I'm just saying he knows what he's doing when it comes to the media. So 1 week of time is what's been studied of when a news cycle moves on. So he just doubles that, so he's in 2 weeks, everything's 2 weeks, because in 2 weeks, it's all going to go away. He knows this. He's counting on this. Where he's dumb. And so it's calculated and it's manipulative, and everybody's sort of smiling and reacting to it like they always have, right? And treating it as a joke, which doesn't solve any problem. And by everybody, I mean the pundits on TV. But, it's not going to move on. I don't think this thing is moving on. I think he's going to keep being, because this is ancient stuff. This isn't like, not that the news isn't horrific in other ways, but this isn't the modern world that's at the center of this. This is stuff going back centuries between, at least decades, and then in a prior iteration, almost a full century, and then a prior iteration of centuries between these folks in this region. And, they just, I don't think anybody's moving on from this. I think that's where he's dumb, but he's counting on it. He's counting on the news cycle just rolling right along, something new. And if nothing comes up that distracts everybody from this, he's going to go harder into the paint on some horrible thing that he's doing so that he forces that distraction. And he's not being challenged or asked about this anymore.
Like maybe he'll.
So that's one thing I have to say about Johnny 2 weeks.
You know,
plant more flagpoles at 88 feet tall.
Are they really? Is that
by the way? That happened.
Are there 14 of them?
No, they are 88 feet tall specifically.
Okay. Are there
There's not 14 of them, but
okay,
they're 88
not yet.
feet tall.
Not yet. I think we're going to get 14.
Not yet.
That's going to be the number.
You could just go with 88. That's his favorite guy.
Yeah. Not great.
For those of you who don't know what that means, it's a white supremacist neo-Nazi symbol and dog whistle for code for Heil Hitler, 8 being the eighth, H being the 8th letter of the alphabet. So they use the number 88 all the time. Again, in Donald Trump 1.0, we were tracking and calling out all the instances that sort of, it might as well fly a swastika. It was coming out of the White House, straight from the White House. I think that was one of the situations where I was called Blue Anon.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
What else? Izzy wants to get out of the room.
Other things about Donnie 2 weeks. The cat. The cat has joined. This is Izzy. I don't think we're going to see her.
No. She was like, I'm going to roll up, sleep, and as soon as the show starts, I'm going to decide that I want to leave.
She's going to meow.
Sorry, I didn't mean to.
That's okay. What else was I saying about this, Donnie 2 weeks?
Well, there's lots of we'll cover some of it in the 5th segment too, because it's about the media and how stuff is covered and how he sort of manipulates the the narrative and stuff like that. But I think there's all these rhymes of things that have happened before, like the intelligence community of the United States says that Iran is A, not trying to make a nuclear weapon, and B, even if they were, they're years away. Even Tulsi can't spin that in any other way. And I think there's a schism going on anyway within MAGA land, which we'll talk about later. And he's like, nah, I don't believe it. He said again, I don't believe it. Putin says that, or I guess BB, whatever, same difference. Says
even
that,
when he has a Kremlin plant, a Russian guy, we found out today, as head of his personnel, hiring all of the people, puts Tulsi in as head of the intelligence community, DNI, gets rid of the NSA director, gets rid of all the people that he doesn't think, keeps his own people in there. He does all that, and still, when they come out and say, if he doesn't want to hear it, nah, he's not going to listen.
Yeah, it's just he doesn't. If it doesn't go with the Kremlin narrative enough, he just can't handle it or whatever. I don't know. But I just think this whole thing with Iran. First of all, he's so lazy and so stupid and so cowardly. If we did get it pulled into a war in the Middle East, he would actually have to not golf and watch TV and molest the women around him, which is the only 3 things he's interested in doing. And if he's a wartime president, he's going to have to do wartime things. Like there's no egg buffet in the situation room.
There's no omelet bar.
No, there's no omelet bar. That's the
I'm
word.
sure there will be. Yeah.
So there's no sex in the champagne room, and there's no omelet bar in the situation room. Is what it is. So it's not sustainable. This is not sustainable.
Yeah.
It just isn't. Not when, like you said, this is not something that's going to go away in 2 weeks. This is nuclear war potential in the Middle East, and it's not sustainable. And I think maybe the polling numbers going down and all this other stuff, he may have outlived his usefulness to the right-wing people that are taking over the government. And I think we're going to see President Vance soon. I think he's going to get 25th soon.
Really?
I thought he was going to be gone 6 months after in 2017 by July 4th, 2017. So don't listen to me. There's no reason for them to keep him at this point. He won the election. He's there. The only reason they needed him was because of the cult of personality, and he's losing the cult of personality.
It's fracturing it. This issue is, but I want to say this.
Mm-hmm.
These people will never, ever, ever leave him. Ever.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Ever. And so it's, I heard Rick Wilson did a live Substack, and he said the thing that we said years and years ago, because this has been a decade now of this garbage, of like, he could literally barbecue babies, and they'd all say, "You're not man enough unless you can do what he does. He's so, So they're just it is a cult of personality. There's nothing he can do wrong, and they're never going to abandon him, ever. They might be upset. They might feel like their daddy's doing bad. Daddy's bad. Daddy's having an affair.
Daddy's drunk again.
But they still want daddy's love, and they're not going to leave him, guys. But fracturing them, distracting them, what the fracture serves, and then we'll move on. What I see the fracture serving in this particular instance is a great reminder of what the fracture serves is it stops everything. So he had to put it all on pause, as much as I think this man is salivating to drop in a nuclear bomb, because he talked about it. He obsessed about it. He can't get over how much he wants to watch that happen. And he has that power in his hands. And how can he not use a power like that? Like a narcissist like him. So I think he's very, very dangerous. I've always thought he was going to drop one, but I don't think he can drop this one, because he doesn't want the fracture. He doesn't want his. He needs it. He needs the love, and he can't handle the conflict. So 2 weeks, and then he's just crossing his fingers that everyone will move on and forget about the war between Israel and Iran.
Which they will, because, something Biden, did you know that Biden was old in his last term? Did you know
that's right. Biden's old.
Yeah.
Yeah. They should we
have to talk about that all the time.
Okay. That's right. We can bring that up.
Moving on to another war zone. Actually, my mom pointed this out to me on the phone today, that the city, I think, with the largest Iranian population outside of Tehran is Los Angeles. And it certainly has the largest population of the diaspora.
Yeah.
And that's also a city that is apparently a war zone now, because Trump has sent in the Marines for some reason, and there's National Guard and these ICE agents or whoever they are. I don't know who went to Dodger Stadium. What did you hear about that? What did you make?
Oh, yeah. Well, I know those. I'm very proud of my people at the Dodger Stadium. I'm very proud of those Dodgers owners, Those are really good people, by the way, everybody. Really, really good Americans. And the LAPD stopped ICE. LAPD, the paragon of, anybody who does, if you don't remember Rodney King, it's not like these folks are, I don't know what to say about
There's
LAPD.
A joke about Daryl Gates of hell, but yes. Yeah. The LAPD is not a sterling reputation,
Not a sterling reputation.
No.
Not since LA Confidential. Anyway, so they stopped him. Yeah, because they were going to come in. Okay, this is another place we can come in and round up a bunch of Hispanic people. That's all it is.
What also happened is Clay Travis, who's this right-wing sports guy, gambling dude, said on the air on one of these shows, wouldn't it be cool if ICE went to the parking lot at Dodger Stadium? And then ICE went to the parking lot at Dodger Stadium. Yeah. And got turned around. And then the ICE people were like, oh, that wasn't us. We weren't there. We don't know what you're talking about. And it's like, okay, if ICE wasn't there, then who were
they lied about it.
Masks and the car and
lying and crying is a theme, by the way.
Are they bounty hunters? Are they aliens? Is that the drones from New Jersey came down and this is who's fanning out here? We don't know. I don't know. Somebody posted a great idea on Bluesky, which I blurted out or tweeted out or whatever the word is. And that's that people should just carry glitter with them and throw glitter at these people, because glitter sticks. And when they go home, it's going to be hard to wash them off. And then we can just look around at all the glittered.
What a great idea.
Yeah, it's a great idea. So
let's get the glitter bombs going.
So there's glitter bombs, because I think, Heather Thomas had a wonderful, friend of the show, guest on our show, had a wonderful rant on Twitter, which I screenshotted and put it on Bluesky because it's so good. Basically saying, why are these people immune? Why are they get the benefit of being masked when nobody else does? Why? Because they're in danger. Everybody's in danger now. Everybody has to, worry about stuff. Why are they so special? Why are we protecting them? They have guns and stuff. We don't. So,
and I think there is an instance, a reported and recorded instance, and I'm sure there are more than one, of a man masked, pretending to be an ICE officer or some type of police force. And he wasn't, and he was trying to abduct her.
Yeah, no, that's happening a lot, and it's a real problem. And that it's not.
Listen, Los Angeles, I'm not there right now. I have another friend of the show, dear Rosanna Arquette, just back from there. Other friends of ours and friends of the show, obviously still living there. Mm-hmm. And it's not, and people speaking out. Like, I love, there was a thread, someone speaking out about the subways in New York of like, subways in New York are safe. They're fine. It's like, this is crazy. And so that same thing coming from the protests that are happening in LA, it's like, it's fine. It's safe. It really is. It's like, the protesters specifically are peaceful. They know what they're doing. Yes, they might have loud things. Yes, it might be like, okay, that's a little whatever in terms of their speech or how they're carrying themselves. But it's LA. So Los Angeles is a really groovy, free place. And a lot of people who are artistically minded and also ambitious end up there. And they're hustlers because you got to hustle to make it there. It's a hard place to make a life and do well. And they're passionate. Los Angeles are passionate people. They're patriotic people. We have a very clear sense of right and wrong. And coming into that community and ripping people out of the community that are the fabric of the community, that are keeping everything going. And so many of them legal, not just legally there, and following the process, but citizens, and watching a masked, unidentified force come in because Stephen Miller is pissed off that he got laughed at in Santa Monica for putting glue on his arms, peeling it off and eating it. He's upset that he was a goober and that no one wanted to be his friend. And so and there's other things also. There's, the optics of it and being California and Los Angeles and the right wing, blah, blah, blah. So of course, and it's you're not going to have bad weather there. I thought it was going to happen in winter, and then the fires happen. I'm like, okay, they just put it on hold because, it's not like ICE wants to go out in New York in the middle of January and start rounding up people in New York, which is Donald's grievance place, because that's next. Manhattan is next. I mean, it's happening now, but it's going to be a big soon. So we're stuck with the grievances of really broken, hollow, disturbed men because they were rejected, losers. And they're in a position of power where they can enact this revenge and have their Nazi fantasy. And Los Angeles they're not going to tolerate this. They're not tolerating it. But it's not they're not the ones setting the cars on fire. I'm sorry. That's the folks that come in and fuck up everything everywhere all the time anyway. You're always going to have that. But that's not what's going on in that city. And plenty of people, I just know so many people going there, and Heather Thomas gave it great voice. Just because Los Angeles are setting a boundary and saying, no, and we're going to use our constitutional right to protest this, doesn't mean it's chaos and hell and that's just bullshit.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
Yep. Well said. Well said.
Sick of it.
I think that these people in the masks that are doing this are all bounty hunters, and I'm going to say it until I'm proven wrong. Prove me wrong. take your fucking mask off and prove me wrong. Show me who you are. You know.
Yeah.
The other piece.
J6ers.
Yeah, exactly. Did you get a pardon? How many pardons?
Proud Boys.
Yeah. How many cops did you beat up on?
How many pardons?
Yeah.
Did the pardon come with a little a tin, a cereal box tin star? Border control. That came with your pardon?
Oh God.
Jesus. Made in China?
Yeah. Maybe next week we'll talk about
for it?
Yeah, no, they won't.
No,
we have to talk about Palantir at some point too, and how they're working with ICE and how they're stealing all the data, and that's horrifying. But let's not get into that now, because I have now you alluded to this at the beginning about this guy who is Trump's he's the personnel director for the White House. So his job is to vet people, everybody that comes into the White House. And his name is Sergio Gore, G-O-R. But apparently his real name, because he wouldn't say what his real name was or where he was born, is Sergei Goryachev. And he's just, it's like the Americans, and he's a Russian, allegedly. So
no, I don't think it's alleged. I think there's plenty of proof. This guy's born in Russia.
I don't know.
Straight out of the Kremlin.
Yeah. It harkens back to the days of the 1980s where people were sneaking genes into Russia, is what it harkens back to. Yeah, I don't know.
Uh-oh, Sergio. Uh-oh, Sergio. The White House guy is a Kremlin spy. Uh-oh, Sergio. He looks like Adam Sandler, but he is Donald Tandler. Uh-oh, Sergio. Uh-oh, Sergio. He says his name is Gore, but he's working for the VOR. We told you so, Sergio. From Moscow, did Donald know? Yeah.
Yay!
Okay, you hadn't seen that, so...
I haven't seen that. We talked about it a little bit while I was running today. So
I started it at 5:30 or something. So
tell everybody what that ad was.
This is the Sergio Valente was this jeans company in the 1980s that was like a competitor of Jordache, and that era of things. And they had that jingle that's very, very catchy. So whenever I hear the name Sergio, ever, immediately in my head. But Sergio I didn't even need to change the words.
No,
I think it was an allusion to it. From way back when.
Straight out of the 80s.
Okay. So, but really, the guy who's in charge of personnel in the Donald Trump White House looks like is kind of a Kremlin spy. You can't make this shit up. Like, you can't, but nobody will say it, I'll continue to be whatever, some crackpot, because I'm talking about Russia all the time. But it's like, dude, come on. What more do you want me to say? I mean,
I think, can we stay on this? All right. So we're going to do a bunch of news, right?
Yeah.
And it's a roundup, but can we stay on it a little bit?
Yeah, let's stay on it. We haven't talked about
Can you, let's go. Let's see. There's a thread that someone put together, and you looked into it as well. And I know we've got a good screenshot, so let's put that screenshot up.
Put the screenshot up.
So let's talk about this Sergio Gore.
Yeah, Sergio Gore.
Guess who he married? He officiated the marriage between Matt Gaetz and Ginger Luckey, Palmer Luckey's sister. Palmer Luckey being a Peter Thiel, blah, 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 blah.
Oculus guy. The guy that wears the Hawaiian shirt.
He got a couple $1 billion from Mark Zuckerberg and a bunch of money from the Kremlin, we think. He had some Russian investors early on. Yeah.
So, everybody's in this little group. And you were, this is Anthony Andrews' thread. There's lots of stuff on this on X right now. And Musk, I think Musk is pissed off at this guy, and that's why it's apparently he helped or amplified the story and got So
well, back in 12/20 in 2020, he was tweeting a lot, and he posted on his X feed that Matt Gaetz says Donald Trump should appoint him as Attorney General. So that's the first time apparently that ever got out, and it came from Cersei. Oh, he's hiring. That's right. He's a hiring guy. That's probably what got him, the job.
So he was already recruiting.
He was recruiting.
Was he recruiting for the Kremlin or the White House? Or I guess
we don't know.
There's not really. I think the place where the Tsar lived was called the White House in St. Petersburg. Anyway.
Oh,
yeah.
Interesting. So. Very, very close with Benny Johnson, the one that was outed as being on a media personality.
Media. Yep.
On the Kremlin's, directly on the Kremlin's payroll.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God, it just goes on and on. Rand Paul, he worked for Rand Paul. So he had a job for Rand Paul.
Remember, I called him Red Paul.
What did John McCain call Rand Paul?
Red Paul, I called him.
Red Paul.
There's so much Russia stuff there. He was Rand Paul's friends with Konstantin Kosachev, the other Konstantin with the K, who ran all this and is a major figure in the Steele dossier, like this whole thing. And Rand Paul is always about peace with Russia, and because we need to engage and we need to have communicate and dialogue.
Didn't he bring a letter from the Kremlin, hand delivered it to Donald?
He did.
Yeah, he did.
He did. Yeah. And his father, of course, well, we won't even.
Oh God, he's over there on RT. I don't know if he's still there. Also, rumor is that he was a big part of why Donald and Elon split was Sergey. He helped nix the NASA administrator nomination of Elon's buddy. And Elon, in reply to this, this information coming out posts, he's a snake.
Ooh. Is a snake like a gang in Russia? Is that one of those? Is he saying that?
I don't know. But anyway, okay. So he's
wait. About the Elon thing.
Yeah.
So
sorry, I'm playing with my hair so much.
This is a thing where, like, if he really is a Kremlin guy, and we're not saying that he is, it certainly appears that way. If that comes to pass that he is, this means that Elon Musk knew about this for a long time and is just telling us now. Just for the record. Just for the record.
Like the Epstein stuff. Yeah.
So I think a good way to get back at Elon would be to look into his immigration record. I'm just saying,
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Sergey, if you want to get revenge, it's a good way to get revenge, my man. Get to it. Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, Elon did get sort of yanked by the leash back into obedience and apologized and took down his tweet. So maybe Sergey had something to do with that. But he was also he's secretary of that YAF thing. So in charge of the money for the board that put together Project 2025.
Okay.
Imagine that.
Yeah. So he's at the nexus.
And we don't know where those people got their money, but we know that the Russian guy was the secretary.
Sergio.
Sergio.
Oh my God.
Okay, that's enough of that. Everybody gets it, right? There's so much more. But
yeah, and I'm sure it'll come out. Actually, it won't, because Jake Tapper has just moved on to the Calvin Coolidge administration. It's great stuff he's doing. Really great work. Yeah.
Really prescient.
Yeah, good stuff. Thanks,
Way
Jake.
to meet the moment, Jake.
Yeah. Jake, fucking asshole. Sorry. So, okay, I what we're going to do in lieu of guests. So on the 18th of June, which is 2 days ago, I'm looking at the newspaper headlines online, as I do. And sometimes like the accumulation of them is so batshit that I'm like, I have to copy these all, because it's just, if you told me even 3 years ago that this would be the news now, I would be like, what the actual F are you talking about? So I'm just going to, just as these are actual headlines from the Washington Post from June 18th, 2025. Okay. U.S.-Iran rhetoric escalates as Trump weighs strikes. It's not good. They were going to update this in 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
And along the same lines, what is the massive ordnance penetrator the U.S. bunker busting bomb? ?
Oh God.
Now, I don't want to say what, I think probably if you ask most of these MAGA people what the massive ordnance penetrator is, they would not know. They would think about something else. That brings us to another Supreme Court case. Birthright citizenship, online porn, major Supreme Court cases still to be decided. Birthright citizenship. There's nothing to decide. It's in the frickin' Constitution. It's an amendment, dudes.
Oh my God.
This one, Supreme Court allows Tennessee ban on gender transition care for minors.
You wrote about that.
I talked about that this morning. Yeah, these are good so far, right? It's good times. Social Security fund could run dry ahead of earlier forecast, trustees say. Yeah. I don't know.
That's one way to bring it to an end, right?
We're Gen Xers. I never expect to get any. If we get any money out of this thing, I'll be.
For God's sakes, no. We were lied to by everybody, and we knew it at the time, and we still know it today. That's why that's why we are the way we are, Greg. We were raised by liars.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Just a few more here. Senate Republicans propose deeper Medicaid cuts. Here's what that means.
Oh, how can they go deeper than what they already had on there?
Oh, you could always go deep. I think they use the massive ordnance penetrator. That's the answer.
They use the massive ordnance penetrator, and now we are going to be paying to provide. I guess it goes so far down. If the cuts are so deep that actually all of our money is going to create a Medicaid fund for Donald Trump. It's just.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus. Okay. What else?
Industry leaders plead with White House on relief from ICE raids after setback. So,
industry leaders plead?
That's with White House on relief from ICE raids.
That just got reversed. So they were going to put in reaction to that. It was like, remember he came out and said, we got to, there's agriculture and there's people who've been here 30 years and we can't just because he was getting phone calls clearly in that headline. That all just got thrown away. I just saw that news a couple hours ago reporting on that. It's done. That didn't need 2 weeks for everybody to forget about it. They forgot about it in 2 days. And so they're right back. Stephen Miller's gotten the directives into his, what are those Austin Power fembots? Christy Noem, fembot Christy Noem, and she's out there with her. God only knows. I think she's ill, but maybe it's just the guns that she had coming out of her bra, like in Austin Powers, were malfunctioning. So she'll get her gun bra functioning again, and she's headed right back into raiding these companies of their workers. And these. Have you
seen pictures of her from 10 years ago? By the way.
Yeah, you shared them with me. Yeah.
She looks nothing like what she looks like now. She looks just like a fuddy-duddy, It's really crazy. She really has Mar-a-Lago face. Okay, moving on. We got 4 more here, and then we'll be done.
Oh my God.
A bully versus a socialist? ? New York's mayoral race is lost in the wilderness. Now, it isn't. Zoran for NYC, man. He's going to be great. Just can elect him.
I just want who's going to win, Greg.
I don't know who's going to win. We'll find out because they do ranked choice. They do ranked choice voting too. So it's going to be hard to tell for a little while because a lot of it depends on who puts who for second place and stuff like that. But that's the way you break it down. And you equate a bully and a socialist as both some kind of bad. The guy that just wants healthcare for everybody. Yeah, he's okay.
Okay.
Nippon Steel completes takeover of U.S. Steel in $14.2 billion deal.
Wow. I missed that.
I thought that we were supposed to be protecting U.S. industry. Wasn't that Trump's thing? Wasn't that we didn't want foreign investors coming in to? I guess not. NYC controller detained by federal agents at immigration court.
I saw that.
Yeah, that was crazy.
I met that guy, I think, at a benefit thing. He didn't seem to me to be the person that you did that to.
it's the video is really like they're grabbing at his neck and stuff, and he didn't do
I wouldn't do
wrong.
that to him. I mean, I wouldn't do it to anybody, and they shouldn't be doing it to anybody. But I feel like we're going to hear about this. And
he might wind up winning the mayoral election now, by the way.
Didn't Hochul show up for this?
Yeah, Hochul came to the place when he got out of jail.
Yeah, Kathy Hochul.
She said it was bullshit on every platform available to her, using the word bullshit. And she's not like us. She doesn't swear all the time. So for her to say it like into microphones.
She is from Buffalo. It's an Italian girl from Buffalo.
I know, but
come on.
And then she went and was with him when he got out, and she tweeted a picture of that with, Excelsior. Just that's the state motto of New York, which means ever onward or ever upward. Or it just means fuck fascists, which I think is also the case. But I liked seeing Hochul doing that. I thought that was good. That I don't know if it's, I don't think it's just for show. I think it really bothered her. And that's good. But again, this headline is batshit.
Yeah.
Okay. And last but not least, I think this is in the op-ed information-y thing.
Okay.
Who will take the jobs of workers who are deported? ? I answered your questions. Can you, oh my
God. That was what, 2 days ago?
Yeah. Oh, boy. That's like, Doug Balloon at PitchBot is like, I can't even with that.
What can you do? You can't do any better than that. You can't make it up.
It's nutty.
It's crazy. All right. Should we put the timer back on?
Let's put the timer back on. Yeah.
Woo! All right. Next segment gets a timer. That one we didn't time. Oh boy. Listen. Guess what I watched?
I'm going to guess that you watched the documentary about Ohio State wrestlers stuff.
I did.
Based on the topic title of Jim Jordan.
I did. So I want to say right off the bat that when this scandal was starting to be exposed, I was very, 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 very personally disturbed by it. Yeah. I believe these men immediately, and not for any political reason. For adult men to come out about their experience, assault, multiple assaults and rapes by their doctor, the athletes. These are, it's Ohio State. It's all about corn-fed Midwest, right? I'm from the Midwest. I'm telling you, this whole Buckeye thing is a huge thing for those athletes to come out and say, this happened to us. I was like, oh shit. Oh my God. You got oh no. And the way that it was, I know locally in Ohio, it was a very, very big story, and they've stayed on that story. So good on the journalists there and the public there, maybe calling for more information because that's their big university, and it's a whole thing. But I was just so disturbed at the time when the story broke that Jim Jordan can come out and do all of the garbage that he was doing on Donald Trump's behalf, and not a single reporter. I think there was one time Mana Raju or somebody called him, asked him about it, but all the Hill reporters were complete cowards and never ever confronted him. I didn't see one confrontation. If it happened, it was so, I was watching, and it's like, why? Because they're men. What, is it just so uncomfortable for people? But these poor men, oh my God. And no one, you don't care. And this is when they were students, when they were 18, 19 years old, teenagers. And Jim Jordan facilitated mass rape and assault on student athletes in his care for years. The doctor who did this had an office right next to Jim Jordan's. Jim Jordan would say to other people who are now witnesses, and some of them victims that weren't students. There's a man who was a referee for the matches that was assaulting. He's like, I don't know why I didn't stop. I didn't punch him. I didn't say anything about this doctor assaulting him. And he's like, I just froze. And I thought, why didn't I hit him? It's like, yeah, that's assault. That's what happens. You're neurological. You can't fight your brain. You have to train your body to work in spite of your brain. And if you have not done that in that specific situation, I have done that. I've done that. I have taken the self-defense training for years specific to being raped. It's a very specific training. And it's really hard. You still with even, I was like in my 5th course and I would still freeze up sometimes because the brain just does that to you. So the folks have shame and they have guilt and they have all of this stuff, but it's just a neurological system that does this. And so here's men experiencing it and not understanding it, but they're witnesses and they're brave and they have come out. And I am telling you, Ohio State, then there were enough witnesses, there were enough victims, enough survivors that came out and have this way of thinking about it. It's like, yes, we're survivors of sexual assault from this man, but we're victims of Ohio State. We're victims of Jim Jordan. So everybody must watch this documentary. You must watch it. It's so well done and it's so clear what happened. Ohio State did, and they cover this, they did do their own independent investigation, as universities have done when they're facing these kinds of, like Larry Nassau, and, they face these kinds of horrific, mass rape and assault, industrial scale, right? And they found, in terms of documented instances that were reported and brought to OSU, brought to the coaches, 170 something cases, 170. Jesus. And then did the numbers on how long this doctor was in place and his pattern of abuse, and the statistics on the documentary did this, statistics on especially men who don't report, and they know for certain that the victims are in the thousands. In the thousands. Thousands of students. I want every single parent to imagine now you're going to drive your student to Ohio State and drop your student off. Your child. You're going to drop your child off. That's what all those parents did with their boys into the care of Jim Jordan, and he ushered them to a rapist. And what has he done since? He cried. Mm-hmm. When this story was about to break and come out originally, back in the first Trump term, he got on the phone. He was calling all the athletes, begging them to save him, spare him. Now they had gone to the head coach. He was an assistant coach. They'd gone to the head coach, and the head coach said, "Okay, I'm gonna stand by you." And then Jim Jordan started to freak out. This is according to the documentary and a lot of reporting as well. Called the survivors, called the victims and begged them, cried, called the brother of one of the principal students, adult now, that was filing the lawsuit against OSU, called that man's brother, and said, "Will you please just help me? Just deny that say your brother's lying." And cried. He cried, and then he lied when he was asked, "Did you do this? Did you know anything about this?" He just lied. "No, it's a fake story, fake news. They're just out to get me." Mm-hmm. He cried, Mr. Macho Man. Then he lied. Mr. I'm oath. Mr. I'm going to have Benghazi hearings. Yeah. And he lied. And now he's hiding. He's hiding. We haven't heard boo from him. Because this is out. It dropped like 2 days ago. Mm-hmm. It is so damning. And they're not even going for, it's not even trying to go for Jim Jordan. Yeah. If anything, it's, it's a very well-rounded documentary. If anything, he's getting off kind of easy when you sit back and think about what he did. But, these men, I am telling you, They were so broken by this experience. It broke them. It broke these brilliant, talented athletes. And, and I'm watching it. And I was even thinking at the time, like, why would they cover up? They're sort of like, was he also assaulting them? Why would Jim Jordan cover all this up? Oh, by the way, the head coach then got calls, right? The crying worked on him. And he promised those athletes that he would be there for them, because they went to Jim Jordan. They were like, well, you're our coach. It doesn't matter if we disagree with you politically. You were our coach. Please be there for us. Please help us. This man, this is what happened. And we told you at the time. And, we understand the culture, They were so giving and so caring and so generous. And, he just ghosted them, then lied about them, then cried to their family and cried to them. And the head coach ghosted everybody after committing to them that he would be there for them. So then Ohio State, is on the hook for all of this. And I'm sitting there thinking, why did these coaches, like, what? I understand that the wrestling team and all these teams were these big teams. Of course, there was the woman coach of the fencing team. I'm going over because I want you guys to hear this. The woman coach of the fencing team found out about this and was the only one trying to get this guy fired for years, this doctor. And she just kept getting brushed aside. And the doctor finally said, fine, I'll stop seeing the fencing team. And that solved the problem. Like, this is how horrific it was. It's so bad. I'm barely scratching the surface of all the things, but the one thing that came out in the documentary, and if I'm spoiling it, I'm sorry, but you'll watch it. You still need to watch it. He was experimenting on these young men. This Dr. Strauss was one of the pioneers of anabolic steroids. So he and the coaches knew. So he was telling the students, he was giving them, they went to go get their B12 shots, but they were like,
they were
great.
Going that shit.
And they were winning because he was steroiding up all the fucking athletes. He was experimenting on them without their consent. That's why the coaches were like, keep him here. So it's a little rape. Just deal with it. And some of the most talented, brilliant young men just had to leave because he was just assaulting them so horribly. They left school. They lost their scholarships. They never went to sports again. And a lot of these men can't go see doctors. It's too traumatic. So they're not, right. It's just terrible. There's suicides, there's drug addiction, there's everything you can imagine that comes out of that type of abuse. And betrayal by Ohio State. Now, Ohio State did that independent investigation, said, we're here for you, but they've been fighting it now. They've taken the route of, trying to say statute of limitations is out, like all of this to try, we'll give you a settlement, but you have to say that we knew nothing. And then like, no, we're not going to lie and take a bullshit settlement. So everybody needs to stand. It's going up to the big courts. It's still a court in the system. It's still a case in the system.
Good.
And the more people talk about this and the more you watch this, read that court case, it's important. I would never, ever, 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 ever take my child to Ohio State and drop my child off. Sorry. That's just me. Not after seeing that. No way.
Nope.
Shame on them. Jim Jordan. All those Republicans. God.
That's why Jim Jordan was picked to be where he is, because they knew he was compromise. He's a guy who literally made his career covering up for a rapist.
Yeah.
So, hey, why don't you get advancement covering up for a rapist? But in Washington instead of
Ohio. Be in Congress. We'll back you, buddy, because we own you. Yeah.
I don't know. I had the song in my head, the Crosby, Stills and Nash song. I know it's a different state university in Ohio, but
Woo!
stuff as we watch the National Guard go into places where it shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Anyway,
well, the one thing we'll move on. We'll do announcements, but as a segue, just to sort of think about, It's journalism, and the kind of investigative journalism that documentary filmmakers invest themselves into, and the accuracy that's so important to them, and the vetting and the getting the witnesses and working with folks. It's when done to hold truth to power, to speak truth to power, to hold power to account, you understand why that's a protected form of speech in the Constitution, specific by the founders understanding how important that was, that you've got to have people who know how to do this and are protected in the pursuit of holding power to account.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. My husband just came in with a glass of water because he could hear my voice scratching. Oh. So nice.
Thank you for sharing about that, because I saw that the documentary was. I was like, oh, good, this is out now finally, because this has been, we knew this was coming for a while, and it's good that it's out. And I haven't heard boo from Jim Jordan in a long time, and I guess this is why
they were experimenting on. He was allowing the experimentation by Dr. Strauss.
Nazi shit.
Come on.
Yeah.
On these boys, these young men, without their consent. I can't get past it.
Not good. All right, announcements. We're doing it after hours. We're going to do it probably at the bottom of the hour, if not sooner, depending. And we haven't done one in a while, so we're going to talk about 2 movies that we've seen. One of them old, one of them new.
Yes.
One of them is Mountainhead, like Fountainhead, which is by the guy Jesse Armstrong, who made Succession, and the other one's Marathon Man.
Yes.
Which we watched this week. And
Laurence Olivier.
Oh, it's so good. We'll talk about it in the after hours. Do I have any other announcements? I mean, there's so many things going on, but
there's so many things going on.
I do have. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No. On Tuesday, I had Candace Rondeaux on, and I talked on my podcast and talked to her about her book, the Putin Sledgehammer book, which is about the Wagner Group and Prigozhin and all that. And the book is really, really good. And it's a nice interview, I think. And she was really cool. At some point we're going to have her also on 5/8. So she said she'd come on, probably in September. So, we can look forward to that. If you haven't listened to that, check it out. First day of summer. I don't know. Am I forgetting something important? I feel like something important. I don't know.
No, you're not.
Tuesday's election day.
Is it?
In New York, yeah. At least in my town. 24th. So
I better go vote.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I've been a little checked out.
I know. Eye for an eye.
I mean, literally like a horror film.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Last segment, 8 minutes on the clock. We came up with the word.
You came up with it. This is your word.
Did I?
Yeah, you did.
Propagandalism. It's kind of like vandalism, but it's supposed to be, we don't know if it's propaganda or journalism. So a big interview happened in MAGA land.
Yes.
Tucker Carlson interviewed Ted Cruz about going to war with Iran and supporting Israel in this war. So whether we go in there directly or why are we supporting Israel? So Tucker, another guy, and I think from his Russian channel, right? Is that when he was doing this from? Ted Cruz comes, the guy with that wore the bow tie and kept his image. Again, I'm telling you, you can spot them a mile away because they don't change their look. So, and it's always something a little off and a little weird, right? To stick out, to stand out, keep your brand. So he interviews Ted Cruz. I don't know if you guys, I'm assuming our audience has seen the clips. The clips are sort of going around. MAGA's like kind of freaking out. I don't care. But the takeaway is that Tucker called Ted Cruz out on all of Ted Cruz's bullshit.
Yep.
From the fake Bible, I believe in the Bible, fake Christianity, to the why support a war in Iran and the whole thing. And Ted Cruz, you said you didn't think Cruz was aware that this is
I think this was
walking into the lion's den.
When it was making the rounds, I thought, oh, this might be interesting to watch. If Carlson really eviscerates him, like that's sort of Carlson eviscerates Ted Cruz,
right? And you're like,
but it's like it wasn't a good interview because he's just yelling at him. He's just being a dick.
He's being a scold.
It actually made me feel bad for Ted Cruz, which I didn't think was possible. Like it's like, did you have a guy on your show like that, and you just don't do that? It's just not good. That's not good journalism either. You know, it reminded me of the scene in the that useless Michael Moore guy, the gun movie that he made, where he's hunting down Charlton Heston and he's being such a fucking asshole that I felt bad for Charlton Heston, which is like, if I'm watching your anti-gun propaganda movie, I shouldn't leave there feeling bad for the NRA head, Michael Moore. But I do.
So in that sense, I see.
Son of a bitch. So anyway, that's that. It gave me flashbacks to that. There was no like.
Okay,
it was like,
I hear you.
How do you say it? What do you mean? What do you mean you hear me? What do you mean? Like it was that kind of thing. Anyway,
it was confrontive in an asshole kind of way, and it was definitely blindsided. He blindsided Cruz. Now, that being said, here's what I sandbagged him. Here's what I noticed, and a lot of folks on Twitter, as they're sort of looking at this, we're noticing this as well. Tucker could do a follow-up question. He held Ted Cruz's feet to the fire. He pressed him on the bullshit coming out of his mouth. He was prepared for the fact that Cruz wouldn't know. He would probably throw out for Cruz's rhetoric around it. He was prepared to counter it. He's like, okay, what verse in the Bible? I know what verse it is. Do you know what verse it is? He was ready. He was prepared. He eviscerated him. He did. I know it says that he eviscerated him. Yes, he was, but he did.
He did. Yeah.
And he did with a sharpened toolbox of journalistic tools, follow-up questions, research, being prepared for the answers, challenging them, having data and the stats that you needed ready, having the counter arguments ready, not letting the interviewee subject distract and pull things away because they were losing ground. It was, who the hell was this? And then you start to think, oh, they can all do this. Jake Tapper can do this. Dana Lett, whatever her name is, can do this. Wolf Blitzer could do this. Mika and Joe can do this. This guy had, they can't, we're pundits and we can't, this whole sort of letting someone come on, spew propaganda and carrying their water and saying, well, both sides. That's a choice that they're all making every single time.
Yep.
Because right there is the bag of sharpened journalistic tools. They have them. They're ready. You can't say, "Oh no, we did that in journalism. We don't know. Journalism's changed so much." Or think, "Let's make excuses. They're out of practice because everything's punditry now." No, he was ready 2 days from when that bullshit started to when this guy was up. But I got it. Here's my pickaxe. It's sharpened. It's ready. I know how to hold it. I know how to use it. Here's a knife. I'm gonna shiv you. They all can do their job. They're actively choosing not to. It's why we yell at the television. It's not just that what's happening on the television and the news is outrageous and horrible and wicked and disturbing. Yes, that's what happened. The reason we get outraged and we start yelling is because those journalists are supposed to be calling it out.
Yep.
They're supposed to be giving us facts. They're supposed to be helping, not shying away and saying, well, we can't, frame this. They're supposed to be telling us what's going on in a way that actually doesn't make us feel like we're crazy because we know this shit is illegal or criminal or corrupt or morally bankrupt or cruel and wicked, anti-American, unconstitutional. That it's the gaslighting from the media heads that is making us yell because we want them to do their job. We want them to do their job and because if you do your job well, you'll make it stop. I don't know that Jim Jordan's going to last that much longer unless people rally around and protect the hell out of him and it's all very corrupt. I don't know how you survive that, but at least people know the truth. You're supposed to do that. Yeah. Give us the truth. Don't gaslight us and say you can't figure out what's going on in Donald Trump's mind. Well, and he's standing in front of you. You don't know to ask the questions. We now know. Tucker Carlson showed us that even the biggest propagandist that's just there for punditry and outrage, even that motherfucker, excuse me for swearing, even that guy has got a sharpened toolbox of journalistic tools that he can whip out and use at will. That's my takeaway.
Didn't use them with Putin, though, did he?
He sure did not.
No, he didn't. He just bowed down to daddy in that interview. But your point is well taken. And this is like, they know what Trump is. They all do. Jake Tapper knows what's going on. There's no way he does. Yeah. I watched him in the debate. We all watched that terrible debate when he just didn't call out the bullshit. He knew Trump was lying about the suckers and losers thing and about...
They froze as if they were in Dr. Strauss's office.
Yeah.
They froze.
And why? We have to ask why. I think,
why?
Part of it is because these corporations, like 3 corporations run everything, and the lawyers say, I'm convinced they have lists of things they're just not allowed to talk about. They're not allowed to talk about the drugs that Trump does. They're not allowed to touch that. They just can't talk about it, and they won't. You'll never hear them talk about it. Even when Trump looks like he's high, looks like he's slurring, there's shit coming out of his white shit coming out of his nose. They can't say anything about it. They won't say anything about his mental state. Biden's mental state, that's fine. We can criticize that. Trump acting his age, we can't ever say anything about that. You'll never hear that. The Epstein stuff we never hear about, unless it's like some sort of lurid, teasy way, but never in any real journalistic way where it's just like, dude, Trump, you're all over that. Why are you in the black book? Like, I looked through the black book. You have more entries than anyone. People have like 2 phone numbers. You have like 25 phone numbers in there. Why?
Yeah. And different times a day to call him about different things.
Why are you calling him all the fucking time? Like, what's going on with that?
Yeah.
That's never, but just ask him that. But I don't think they're allowed to do that either.
Well, they are allowed to do that. They're cowards. They won't say to the corporate attorneys and they won't say to their bosses, look, your job, we're going to do our job. Your job is to make sure that we're protected if we get sued because we're exercising the First Amendment. Your job is to protect the First Amendment, not protect the people that we're investigating from us.
Well, that's not what happens. What happens is Terry Moran says something, that's his name, right? He says something accurate and then he gets fired. That's what happens. And that's what they're afraid of. Jake Tapper sat there like a craven little horrible, oh God, I hate him so much, in that debate and refused to ask follow-up questions because they promised that they wouldn't. So why is he still on TV? Why do people listen to him at all? He's not a journalist. If he ever was before, he stopped being one that day, and you can't come back from that. And I don't understand this Joe and Mika business either. Trump knew stuff about them before the 2016. Am I deranged? Am I just remembering this wrong? In the lead up to the election in 2016, they didn't want to criticize him because they were afraid he had something on them that they were afraid of. And right after the election, they came out that they were together. Did I imagine that? Am I wrong?
Okay. Listen, I didn't watch them before. So
I never watched any of this
I don't think you're wrong.
I don't know.
I don't think you're wrong.
If that's true, they're not journalists anymore. They stopped being journalists that day. So fuck them. There's no, stop listening. I don't understand. I get why the corporate overlords want them on TV. And it's nice when they say good things every once in a while. Broken clock. That we should have, instead of 60 minutes, it should be called Broken Clock. That's it.
I love it. I love it. It should be. We're going to limp our way into the sort of next thing. Listen. Oh, God. I think we are going to limp our way through this. It's going to be bad. And nothing's going to look like what we want it to look like when we get to the other side. But I do think we're going to get to the other side of this at some point, and then we'll have a chance to rebuild. And so that is the one and only way. The one and only way.
What is the one and only way?
This. Limping.
Oh, limping. Okay.
Limping through. Yeah. Limping through this horror show. Trying to hold people to account. There will be an end to it at some point. We will have a chance to rebuild, and we're just going to have to limp it, and we'll get through it.
We'll see you at 1:30 on the other side. 1:30. It says 1:14 on my thing because it's an hour and 40 minutes. We'll see you at 9:30 on the after hours. Bye, everybody.
Goodbye.